the Starlight Awards, one of the most talked about moments did not come from the stage, but from the audience. Zhao Lusi and Wang Anyu were seated in the same space, sharing the same event, yet presenting a striking contrast that immediately drew attention. While Wang Anyu appeared calm and observant, his gaze repeatedly lingered in Jao Lucy's direction. It was quiet, steady, and unmistakably gentle. Jao Lucy, however, projected a different presence. Compared to earlier years, she appeared more reserved, less outwardly expressive, and emotionally guarded. This contrast between a familiar gaze and a changed demeanor became the emotional starting point of the night. As the event unfolded, this unspoken dynamic set the tone for everything that followed, inviting audiences to look beyond interactions and focus on what had subtly changed. As the ceremony progressed, Wang Anyu's quiet presence became increasingly noticeable. While many attendees engaged actively with those around them, he remained composed and reserved. What drew attention was the consistency of his gaze. Repeatedly, his eyes settled on Jao Lucy, not in fleeting glances, but in a calm and unhurried manner. There was no visible attempt to initiate conversation or attract attention. Instead, his posture suggested patience and restraint, allowing moments to unfold naturally. In a setting defined by cameras and public awareness, such composure often carries deeper meaning. For viewers, this steady behavior stood out. A single look can be coincidental, but repeated observation reflects intention. Throughout the event, Wang Anyu's expression remained gentle and attentive, creating a sense of emotional continuity. Against the backdrop of a changing atmosphere, his unaltered gaze became a quiet anchor, one that would later highlight the contrast seen in Jao Lucy's demeanor. In contrast to Wang Anyu's steady composure, Jao Lucy presented a noticeably different energy throughout the evening. Once known for her bright and spontaneous presence, she appeared more reserved at this year's event. Her expressions were subdued, her movements measured, and her focus largely directed forward rather than outward. Compared to previous public appearances, there were fewer smiles and less visible engagement with those around her. Rather than projecting distance, her demeanor suggested emotional restraint, a quiet attentiveness shaped by experience. This shift did not signal discomfort, but a more guarded form of self-awareness. For many viewers, the change was striking. When placed beside Wang Anyu's familiar gaze, Jao Lucy's altered presence became even more apparent. The contrast between constancy and change added depth to the moment, transforming a simple shared space into a subtle emotional narrative, one defined not by what was expressed openly, but by what had quietly evolved over time. As the evening unfolded, the contrast between them became increasingly clear. Wang Anyu's affection was expressed through quiet attention, while Jao Lucy's emotional distance manifested in restraint. Neither approach was overt, yet together they created a layered dynamic that viewers could sense without explanation. This was not a moment of tension or conflict, but one of difference. Affection in this context did not demand reciprocity, nor did distance imply rejection. Instead, both seemed to coexist naturally, shaped by individual emotional states. For audiences, this balance felt relatable. Many recognized the subtle truth behind it, that people do not always express connection in the same way or at the same pace. In a public setting defined by expectation, this understated dynamic felt authentic. It allowed space for interpretation, making the moment resonate not because it was dramatic, but because it mirrored real emotional complexity. Against the backdrop of quiet distance, a small yet meaningful moment emerged. Wang Anyu was seen calling out to Jao Lucy, briefly breaking the silence that had defined much of the evening. The exchange was simple and unembellished, unfolding naturally amid the surrounding noise. Jao Lucy's response was calm and measured. There was no dramatic shift in tone, but the interaction itself marked a turning point. It confirmed awareness, acknowledgement, and a shared presence within the same space. For viewers, this moment carried weight not because of what was said, but because it happened at all. After prolonged restraint, even a brief conversation felt significant. It served as a quiet bridge between distance and connection, subtly reshaping the emotional rhythm of the night. To place this moment in context, it is important to consider time. Earlier public appearances showed Zhao Lusi and Wang Anyu interacting with greater ease and openness. Those moments reflected a different stage, one defined by spontaneity and lightness. What audiences witnessed this time was not the absence of connection, but its evolution. Experience, visibility, and personal growth often reshape how emotions are expressed. What once appeared carefree may become measured without losing its sincerity. Seen through this lens, the shift feels natural rather than concerning. Change does not imply distance, and restraint does not erase familiarity. Instead, it suggests a quieter form of awareness, one that acknowledges the past while adapting to the present. This perspective helps explain why the moment resonated. It reflected growth, not a disappearance. This dynamic resonates strongly with mature audiences because it reflects lived experience. Many viewers recognize the emotional shift, the understanding that connection does not always look the same over time. What once felt effortless may later require restraint, not because it has weakened, but because it has deepened. For these audiences, the moment felt honest, rather than idealized. There was no clear resolution, no definitive statement, only subtle signals shaped by awareness and growth. This absence of certainty made the interaction relatable. Instead of offering spectacle, the moment offered recognition. It acknowledged that people evolve and that emotional expression adapts accordingly. In doing so, it allowed viewers to project their own experiences onto the scene, transforming a quiet exchange into something deeply personal. As the night came to an end, the contrast that first caught attention revealed its deeper meaning. Wang Anyu's unchanged gaze and Jao Lucy's more guarded presence were not opposing forces, but reflections of growth. Feelings like people evolve, shaped by time, experience, and awareness. This moment did not offer clear answers, nor did it need to. Its strength lay in what it suggested, rather than what it declared. In the quiet space between familiarity and change, audiences found something real. Not all connections fade, some simply learn to exist in softer, more thoughtful ways.